Alright, what is going on, guys? What up, what up? Gonna be doing some recaps today from this weekend's show. And we're doing probably a little bit of some card cleaning today as well. So, we're just getting that ready. M4, welcome. So what's going on today, guys? Hopefully you guys are having a good Monday. Doug's, what's up? Just sending out some notifications and we should be good to go here. And so we got some cleaning, we got some talk about the show. Got all sorts of stuff we got to go over today. Phoenix, what's going on, man? Jay, what's up? Just sending out some notifications real quick and we should get ready to go. Doing a little bit of a different stream setup this time around. So we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Hopefully I don't hit the mic like I did last time. Shiny, what's up? I'm getting distracted here, so... Linktree. Boom. Almost done, guys. I appreciate you being patient with me. Eli, what's up? Phoenix, can you hear me okay by chance if you're in here? I think you're still in here. I just want to make sure I got I had to reconnect my my mic. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Awesome. Thank you for that. Appreciate you guys being patient. I'm almost done with what I need to do. Beautiful. Boom. Alright, guys. Appreciate you being patient. Now, we're going to actually get to what we were 15 minutes late for. So, I just got back from a show this weekend, and so I just spent the day doing the boring stuff, doing the inventorying. And so now, I love your content, join your friends on your next stream. Oh, nice. Thanks, Jackson. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of go over. I think first we'll go over some of the pickups that we got from this weekend. So hopefully you guys can see these. And let me just check something real quick. I want to make sure that you guys can see me on this side. I'm just going to do this real quick. And then here. Let's see. Why can't you guys see? Why isn't that not working? Gotta love technology. Sorry, 1 second, guys. My whole setup is just janky as hell. 1 second. Let's try this again. There we go. Should that work now? Yes, it does. Perfect. Alright, guys. What's up? What up? Yes, I'm doing some surgery today. So we're going to be... So everyone should be good now over on Twitch and YouTube. That the camera should be active. You guys should now be seeing this. I'm going to be going over some cards I picked up this weekend. So, got some really, really cool stuff. So we're just going to get right into it. So we got, let's see, so that should be good. Let's do it this way, actually. Sorry, guys, I got like all this different lighting and trying to figure it out live. So, you know, we'll do it live. Why not? All right, there we go. That's best of both worlds right there. Cool. All right, so here's some of the stuff that we picked up this weekend. We picked up a ton of cards that we're going to be going over and assessing the condition on. Thanks, Phoenix. So we got, I alphabetized everything. So we got the Alakazam, the Armaldo from Sandstorm. I got all of the XY promos, which was super sick. So we got Arceus, the other Arceus. Got the Alolan Executor EX. And then on to the Bees. The Bees, just the Blastoise. And then the Black Kyurem. Yes, Betty. I picked up the entire XY promo set, which is super, super sick. I think I posted it on the Discord a little bit. So, next up we got the Charizard EX. We got the Celebi. And we got the Ceruledge. You need to have it on the PC. And then next up, picked up a, this one was really cool. I'll actually show it. I don't know if you can see it on here, but I'll have to take it out of the sleeve. But this one has a double swirl. This Blastoise has a double swirl somewhere. I can't remember. It's like right here somewhere. Yeah, right there. It almost looks like it's got 3, doesn't it? It's got like 3 swirls almost. So the black and white set for June. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I hear you, Eric. Yeah, so this is like almost like a double or a triple swirl. That's kind of crazy. And then the dark. So right now I'm just showing you guys, and I got another little swirl right there by the Weezing. The Darkrai, the Dialga, and then the Dark Espeon with a little booty swirl. So that's always cool. Any Houndooms or Tyrannitars? I definitely had some Tyrannitars for sure. And then this one, guys, this I feel like I'm gonna be known as like Mr. Evolution because I picked up so many Evolutions. It was insane. So we got the Holo Espeon from Delta Species. We got the Legendary Collection Reverse Eevee. That was a huge pickup. Eevee and Snorlax. Got the Eevee Snorlax in Japanese. Eevee Reverse Delta. Ray, thank you for the follow. And anyone else that followed, I may have missed it. I was doing some technical difficulties as always, it seems like, but I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm just going over this weekend's pickups, and we're actually going to go through them one at a time, because I have to double check the condition on everything. Yeah, Betty, this was crazy. Got an Unseen Forces Reverse Eevee. Got the Eevee promo. Got the Eevee GX. Just want to start collecting. Well, first, welcome in if this is your first time here. I'd be more than happy to help you along your collection journey. That's kind of my main thing. We can make this Eevee, we can make this Espeon shiny. We can make it from purple to green. So any questions that you have, JB, please feel free to ask them. I'd be more than happy to do my best. I did a lot of in real life grade reviews at this show this weekend, which I thought was pretty funny. Got this Shatterfoil Espeon. I didn't really realize that these were all deck exclusives, which I found pretty interesting. Espeon V. Thank you guys for liking the live. I appreciate you. Espeon Deoxys, GX, Tag Team, and Promo. Got the Japanese Aquapolis. And then another Japanese Neo Discovery. I already had one of these, but I mean, I'm the Eevee guy apparently. Any tag team? I just showed off two. So we had the English Eevee Snorlax, the Japanese, and then the Espeon Deoxys from Unified and the promo. Betty, that's what I'm saying. So these will all be for sale at some point, I literally just picked them up this weekend. So what the goal of today is, I'm just kind of showing you guys the stuff that I picked up this weekend. And everything that you're seeing... Are you seeing YouTube chat too? Yes, I am. It might be a little bit delayed, Ryan, but I have 3 screens I'm trying to look at all the same time. But did you find the JP parent? I did not, Phoenix. I was looking, man. I was looking. But yeah, so they'll eventually be up. So definitely keep eyes. Or if you're a pilot or general subscriber over on Discord, people get kind of early dibs on those too before they go on the actual website. But we're going to be going over... Just double-checking condition, the Delta species. This was really nice. I got the Flareon. I think I got the Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon Delta species reverse holos. So those were really sick. Got the Legendary Collection Flareon. So super stoked. Yes, Mike, that's accessible for the pilot and the general tier. So pretty much if you see it, you just reach out to me through there and say, hey, I want to kind of pick that up, or if you have a working, relationship with you anyway. But so we got the Flareon EX, got a lot of Radiant stuff, and this was a really nice one. This reverse holo Unseen Forces Flareon, that was super sick. And then the Pop Series 3 Flareon. I got the Pop Series 3 Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon. So that was cool. And you guys, we haven't even hit the Umbreons. You guys are gonna crap yourselves when we hit the Umbreons. And so next up, we're at the G's. This was pretty much Gardevoir pickup for me. So another Delta species. A lot of Delta species pickups. Gardevoir GX. EX. Some more EXs from the Radiant. And then again, more of the XY promos. And then again, you know me. Mr. Evolution himself. We got some Glaceon, Leafeons coming up. A nice little double swirl by the ears there. Like, super sick. I got 2 moons. My prized possession. The Moonbreon you're talking about? Nice little booty swirl there. I'm a fan of the booty swirls, man. Fart swirls coming out. I think these were the Burger King promos. The Glaceon and the Leafeon. With the Platinum. So that was pretty cool. And then, again, more deck-exclusive Cracked Ice from Plasma. I got 2 of those for the Glaceons, which was really cool. And then just another Glaceon EX. Some Gardenia Vigor and Giovanni's Charisma at the end. And then the only H, again, to kind of keep on keeping on with the XY promos. This came in the complete set, was the Hoopa EX. So pretty nice there. Next up in the J's, got the Jirachi, the Jolteon Delta, Jolteon EX. I forgot that was a promo, I believe. Yeah, the Jolteon promo, black and white. Another Legendary Collection, Jolteon, and then the Jolteon Pop Series. So yeah, the collection that I picked up this weekend was a huge Evolutions fan. And so for the Ks, we have the Keldeo, and then those of you who saw my Instagram and my Discord, this card right here was probably the coolest pickup of the entire show. First time I personally have ever held this card in person was the Karen's Umbreon. That was really big to have that stamp. So this was the Versus series. So the Versus series, so much similar to Gym Hero or Gym Challenge, the Versus series was more or less exclusive to Japan. So that's why you have Karen. If you can kind of zoom right there. So Karen's Umbreon, very sleepy. And then they also have the first edition. So they were still doing first edition stampings around this time. So, but this one's definitely one of the big chases is Karen's Umbreon. That was a really cool pickup as well. I know. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh man, like that's crazy. Never held it in my life until the show. So next up for the L's, got the Latios, the Latias. There's the other Latios. So we got the little Latios, Latias for the XYs. And then some more. We got the Leafeons for days. So we got Leafeon there, Leafeon V there. We got the Leafeon for the Burger King promo. The Leafeon VMAX, probably my favorite big boy of the Evolving Skies, just pushing around a bale of hay. And the Lumineon V. What would be the price for the Umbri? So currently it's in a soft claim, but due to the demand of just everyone kind of bum rushing me when I post it, which is totally expected. So this was at the show, and we'll actually go through. We'll probably address it during a cleaning if I have time during this stream. This was assessed as light play, and I think I had the price on the back. So when I list it on the site, it's going to be that value on the bottom. Is what I'll probably have it listed at. So this would be in like a card in person if you were to pay with like a Visa or MasterCard on the top. But the bottom is what I'm going to be listing on the site for. So we'll take a closer look as well. The holo actually was really good. The only thing that was wrong was that there was a small scratch by the ear, and then there's a little bit of some issue in that bottom left corner. But aside from that, it was a pretty clean LP. So, but it's on a soft hold because I'm trying to do a solid for someone who showed interest at the show. So we'll see how long they got. So the next up, we got the M's. So we got some Megas in the house. So the Mega Gardevoir picked up another one of those. Meowscarada. And then a lot of, again, more reverse holos from Legend Maker, Delta Species, Unseen Forces. Got a lot of those kind of floating around in this pile. Another Mega Gardevoir from Steam Siege. Those are looking pretty good. And then some Surging Spark stuff. Manaphy. Probably my favorite Mew. Melaletta, and then Moltres. Forgotten, thank you for following the live. I appreciate that. Did I do lots of trades? I actually did not, Betty, all things considered. I did a lot more buying this time around. There's a few people trying to do like trade-up challenges and whatever. But I tend to say no to those. There's nothing inherently wrong with them. But for the ones that I was presented with, some of them weren't as good in my favor. I'll put it lightly. Yeah, because like at the end of the day, if you're someone that's older, maybe 30, like 20s, 30s, 40s, doing a trade-up challenge, the best way to explain that is merely that you're trying to circumvent the kind of standardized 80% or 85% trade by instead of saying I want 105% trade for my card, which is essentially what trade-up challenges equate to. So on to the P's. So the Palkia, the really nice Pikachu EX, and then I picked up another Pikachu from 151. And then I picked up from the same person I bought all of the evolutions from. She had a Pikachu with gray felt hat sealed, so that was a pretty cool pickup. Next up, have the Reshiram and the Regigigas. What was the budget at the show? So this one, I'll kind of explain it once I'm kind of done here. Like kind of showing off what I picked up. And I'll kind of explain the kind of idea behind it. So in the S's, we have the Shaman EX, the Slacking, Squirtle, Shaman EX. This one is actually going up in price. I didn't really realize that until I was looking at it. You're going to be selling these? Yes. Eventually I will, Forgotten. The only kicker is that this is all stuff that I picked up over the weekend, and so I'm just kind of showing off what I did pick up. And then I'm going to be spending the rest of the stream kind of talking with you guys and just verifying that I assessed the conditions correctly, or if there's anything that needs to be cleaned on my end, or even gradable. So we're going to be kind of doing that for as long as we can until I have to kind of get off. But I figured just kind of chill, kind of show off some of the cards that I picked up throughout the show. And then we got the Steelix and the Shiftry. But yes, eventually they'll all be on my website once I scan them and process them and all that fun stuff. So, all right, so now on to the U's. And U, again, equals Umbreon. So another fart swirl on the on that Umbreon. Got that Umbreon EX. This one's definitely damaged. It had a pretty significant crease across. So this is probably one of the ones I'm going to try to do some cleaning on. Probably put some presses on it, see if I can try to flatten that out a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be like a miracle, but it'll do something. Another Umbreon Shatterfoil. Got the Umbreon V. The Umbreon Darkrai GX Tag Team. Picked up another Reverse Hollow Sandstorm. I had this before. I sold this back at late March, so I picked up another one. And then we got, I think this was up here. So we picked up 2 more Umbreon Darkrai GX Tag Team promos. Those are always nice. We picked up 2 of these Ultra Rare Umbreon Vs from Evolving Skies. This one's interesting because it almost has a little bit, it's almost grayer than the standard, which I thought was pretty cool. We got the Umbreon regular, and then for non-hollows, we have the Umbreon from Aquapolis and Skyridge. So, how much? I'm honestly not too sure at the moment. We're going to be double checking to make sure that my conditions when I bought these, you know, probably not even 24 hours ago. Going to go through, process, and make sure that they're all the condition that I bought them at, and then they'll be on my website in the near future. So on to the Vs. Unless you are a Pilot or General subscriber, you can also kind of get first dibs on this stuff before it does go live. And the subscription is over on the Discord. So next up is the Victini. And then again, the more Delta species stuff. The Vaporeon. I always thought that was cool because like the Vaporeon's kind of spit in the water and the Delta species is right there. And then some more stuff. I mean, Pop Series. Got the non-hollow Vaporeon from Skyridge. And the Venusaur EX from 151. And we're getting there, chat. We're getting there. The only W is the white Kyurem. That rounded out all of the XY promos. Then we got the Zapdos from the Thunder structure deck, and then the Zekrom. So to answer your question that you asked before, Mike, interested in the damage one? Okay. Yeah, and I apologize if you're watching me on YouTube or Twitch. I got a little bit of a delay. But, yeah, the Zekrom was pretty crazy. So to answer your question, Mike, so this time around, I've had the same kind of stock for a while. Even though it's, like, of good quality, I don't want to get into a habit of... So the show that I'm going to on the 17th is going to have more or less the same inventory. So I really wanted to bring a lot of buying power to the show. So I brought around, I think I brought around 4 to 5K in cash to shop around with. And so most of it went to, she was super nice, the collector with all the evolutions, the XY promos. I got a lot of that from her, including the Karen's Umbreon, which was super sick. So... But, yeah, super, super excited to pick up a lot of that stuff. The one thing that I will say is that there was not a lot of people really buying cards this time around. I really didn't make a whole lot of sales this weekend, to be quite honest with you guys. I think I did at the end of it after a 2-day show. I mean, granted, it was kind of like a Comic-Con, so it's not like as many collectors. But I ended up doing around, I think it was at the end of the day, 1,600 worth in sales. So not a whole lot. But I think more the kind of the overall goal was more to pick up this time around, which I definitely succeeded, but not a lot of sales. And that might be due to, you know, market fatigue and all this stuff. So really not too happy about the results, if I'm going to be blunt, but I'm not discouraged either. I just know it's just kind of the name of the game, the name of the market right now. A lot of people are getting fatigued with how crazy prices are. So, where can I find a link to the Discord? The Discord link is in my bio, in my link tree. So right now, guys, all I'm doing is I am going through these cards, and I'm actually going to change a light source real quick so you guys can see a little bit better. And so I can see a little bit better. But yeah, a lot more trades this time around. Or not a lot of trades, a lot of buying more than trades. And so one thing I also did see, which I'll probably make a video about here in the near future, was a lot of stuff that was very highly priced compared to some of the prices that I had for similar cards. And it got me thinking, you know, as a reminder to you guys, don't feel afraid to investigate how much your cards are. Because certain vendors will tend to have their cards priced much higher. And granted, there are reasons as to why you would do that, right? Like if you're trying to, like if you go to a lot of shows and you got to kind of cover that overhead, I totally understand and I totally get it. But I'm also saying that when you're when you're offered like an 80% trade, just be mindful of what the market price is for a card that you're trying to trade towards. Because if a price is above market, you're basically reducing your trade power unless you negotiate what the market price is. So don't be afraid to negotiate market price. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, so this one's a little... So that one would be near mint. I set up Saturday and Sunday at 2 different shows, and I bought a lot. That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's definitely, I would say from a vendor's, for a vendor specifically, now is the time to buy. A lot of people are either trying to get out of it or know that they have a lot of potential. Let's see here. We're just going to do one of these bad boys, I think. Nothing irritates me more. Nothing irritates me more than self-promotion. Oh. I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, it's just be mindful. You know what I mean? Go into it, you know, thinking that you have some power. You know, just make sure that you know what the prices are ahead of time. Because I was seeing, like, for example, I had like a Magikarp from Paldean Evolved. You know, I think my market was 215, and I was seeing a lot of vendors having it at like 280, 295, 300. I was like, man, that was... So this one might be LP. I think I assessed it as LP. So let's take a look. So if you guys have never seen this part before, and we're going to have to do this for you guys on the TikTok side. And we're going to do this a little bit. Let's see. And we're going to do this here. I got to power... Man, I am just... Nothing's powering on. Yeah, it's very cutthroat right now. So you definitely need to be aware for sure. I need a Red Bull. Yeah, I didn't yawn. At least I don't think I yawned. Who knows? Let's see. So I'm just taking a quick peek here, just to make sure that, just to really make sure what we got here is light play. But so yeah, I think overall the show was super fun. So Saturday was actually Sunday was much better than Saturday for me. Both days were really big, you know, buy days for sure. But I'm trying to think of like anything crazy. Not a lot of really big buys. I would say a lot of people were interested again in like the $1, $2, $3 binders, and I honestly don't know. Just from one thing I noticed is that when people are going through the $1, $2, $3 binders, like even though yes, there is a lot of interest in those price ranges, and I do have sales from them, it does take a long time for folks to process and go through those binders, which results in the table being kind of filled a lot more. So on one hand, that's good because it makes my booth look busy, but at the other hand, it prevents a lot of folks from actually kind of being able to see what's going on. Dom, what's going on, man? How have things been? Hopefully things are good on your end, my friend. Right now, I'm just kind of going over some cards I actually picked up over the weekend from Saratoga Comic-Con. So I'm just kind of making sure that everything is in the condition that I thought it was going to be when I was getting kind of bum rushed for people to buy stuff, so... And that's all just kind of flakes, I guess. Okay, so that is some stuff. So all those little white lines. So all this stuff right here. Let's see if we can... Didn't really feel like anything, but that one just popped off, so... We're gonna see if we can get some of this off. We can. Okay, here we go, chat. See, this is what I'm talking about. That's why I do this, man. All these, like, little white specks here. I wasn't feeling anything, because that's, like, the only con of using gloves when you're cleaning, is that it's kind of hard sometimes to feel the texture of some of the stuff that's stuck on there. But I think another thing that happened at the show was that a bird flew into the convention center, and everyone was like freaking out that the bird was in the and like flying on vendors' tables and stuff. And I was like, oh man, this bird's just gonna do a number 2 on all my stuff. I was like super nervous about it because it was like really flying. It was cruising. And it's always, of course, really cool to see a lot of different cosplays and stuff like that, so it's always a trip. Alright, so I got the other ones off the... I need a new Q-tip here. And then, I don't know if anyone's here from who subscribed over on the Discord, but I actually have, just let me know. I'll show you the sneak peek for the giveaway. That's going to be that I picked up as well. I don't think I took it out yet, but I thought it'd be a cool change up that I haven't seen in a very long time. There you go. I knew I'd get Mike. He's probably wondering where his new prize is. 1 second, Mike. I got you. So let's see. So let's see if I can get it out here. So I will say that this isn't the most, you know, it's not the most pretty of packages, but I thought it was cool nonetheless. But I ended up picking up this Breakpoint blister, which I thought was pretty cool. So I thought this would be a cool giveaway for the Discord subscribers. With the Sylveon Pikachu. Again, I'm like Mr. Evolution, so I gotta... So it's a little bit, you know, it's definitely a little loved, but everything seemed to be intact, so... And the Groudon, that's what I'm saying. So, I thought that'd be pretty cool. I picked that up at the show. I was like, oh, I'll hook up the homies. So I thought that'd be pretty cool. That's what I'm saying, Betty. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, just give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to... Because I think what was happening before was that TikTok on Streamlabs was, like, not really doing well, so I turned my... That's what I'm saying, Mike. You can't pass on that one. There we go. We'll just do this for now. I think that's best of both worlds. But, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. The card I bought for me just got to grade Light Arcanine. I got a 9. Sick, dude. That's awesome. Like I said, I think anything vintage that's like 8 or higher, worth grading, and I'm glad that you're able to get a pretty sweet grade off of that. 9's really good, because that holo was like so good. This is like this bit of white is like super stubborn. That's what I'm trying to get off right now. I can feel it. I can feel it, like wanting to give, but maybe it's just on there. I might have to leave that for a little bit. Kind of come back at it here in a second. Man, it's like I don't even know what this stuff is, to be quite honest with you. It's like bits of God knows what. I really don't know. It's like Arceus spray. Who knows what it is? Or like confetti. There's just like so much stuff on this. And at this point, like, it's still, you know, getting this stuff off isn't gonna like drastically bump the raw assessed. But at this point, it's just more of the principle of the matter. Because there's just so much of it on there. Like, I just don't know what it is. And it's coming off. There's just so many of them. And that one on the chest, I really just want to... Oh, I got one of them off. I got one. I can see it, and you guys can see it too. Like, right there. At the tip of my Q-tip there. And you guys might need to... That's what I'm saying, Daddy. Only Arceus knows what's on this card. You guys might need to go full screen on TikTok, but like all this stuff by the colorless energy, like what? It's coming off. You know what I mean? I take a few passes and it is coming off. It's just, man. I have no idea what it is. I need a new Q-tip. I've already went through 3 Q-tips just on this one alone. I can feel it too. Come on, man. We'll do one more attempt. One more attempt and we're giving up. I know you're busy, but I really want to get into grading, but don't really know what to look for in a card. Well, first, you have come to the right place. I'm more than happy to help anyone out as best as I can. So let's say for this Arceus, right? So let's say that you're trying to grade this Arceus. So the 4 things that you're really looking for. So there's 4 main grading criteria. So there's centering, corners, edges, and surface. So all of those will be assessed from a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And all of them will kind of come into this magic formula that will ultimately give you a grade. So the centering, as like a quick kind of notification, or I don't even know why I said that, like as a quick recap. So centering is like where you see this yellow border. So you would measure something like this. So what I use, for example, and most times when you kind of get down to it and get the hang of it, you can pretty much just use your eyes if you're grading through PSA. So say I put the sleeve over here. So I have a transparent ruler here. And so if I were to kind of put the ruler on top of the card, so you can kind of see these millimeter markers. And again, you might have to go full screen, which if you just swipe left, I think that's what, or hold it down, one of the two. So I just kind of do it this way. And roughly you're trying to go around like 2.5 millimeters on both sides is like the standard. But this one, for example, is 3. And so 3 on the left. And then we got, you know, let's see, about 2.5 on the right side. So it's a little bit thicker on that left side. But if you did some math, let's see. So if I did math, so 3 divided by 5.5. So it is 0.54. So the 0.54 would tell me that the centering is within the 10 range for the front. So PSA's maximum is 55/45. So that's why I just used the ruler. And so technically, the centering on the front is great. And I'm just going to focus on the front because you basically just say what, like, do what I'm doing, but also on the back as well. So the other thing is you're going to want to look for corners. So if there's any whitening or discoloration or anything like that, that doesn't make it look crispy, that's going to damage your corners or edge score. The math. So basically just use so you add the 2 values of the measurements of the millimeter. So on the left side was, I'm not going to put it on the card, but the left side was a 3, so 3 millimeters from the edge to from the left to the right on the yellow part, and then the same thing on the right side. And then you just add those 2 values together, and you divide the first value against the total, which would be the one side, and then you divide the other by the other side, so that's your ratio. So the corners, so you can kind of see here, so there's a little bit of edge wear, a little bit of some dings and dents. So the corners and the edges, there's going to be a ding against the grade. So this one, you know, we're already kind of out of anything above an 8 at this point, right? So all that silvering. So the best case scenario would probably be a 7 just to start. Possibly Marquette. Possibly. I've seen some that are very, very minimal that squeak by 10s, but then if you have like 2, for example, they don't make the cut. So now what I'm doing, and it's a little bit more advanced, so I wouldn't really feel like you should start off with this, especially if you're saying that you're kind of new to grading. What I'm doing is just getting rid of anything that might be stuck onto the card, which this Arceus definitely has things just stuck onto it. But it's no different than like if you may have like a thumbprint or something like that that might be stuck onto the card, or if like a scratch is on there or anything like that. It's going to reduce the surface subgrade. So see if, like, for example, and again, you might have to go full screen on this on TikTok, but for my Twitch and YouTube folks, you can see it pretty well. There's a little bit of some debris on here. So if I left this on there, the surface score would be impacted. But see how that kind of wipes off with, because right now all I'm using is a Q-tip and some distilled water. It just wipes right off. And I can kind of just toss that to the side, and it kind of gets stuck onto the Q-tip. Right now I'm on Q-tip number 3, so... but yeah, so right now, what I'm doing is trying to improve that surface score. And it's not altering, it's just wiping dirt and grime off. And then, yeah, I think those are pretty much all the 4 parts of it. And then you just kind of do your best to assess what you think it would get. And then you just kind of... you know, just submit your card, and if it gets the grade that you got after your assessment, great. But I will say, one of the biggest things is that a lot of people, you know, if a card comes straight from a pack, a lot of people push that, you know, it will get a 10. You know, it's very easy to kind of get clickbaited in that sense. So just know that just because a card comes fresh out of a pack does not mean it will get a 10. So sorry, could you talk about corners and grades again? Yeah, so I mean, more or less the corner talk was, you know, it's more of just kind of you need experience, but you know, the more whitening or the more dings or more edge wear that's around the corner, the worse the score is going to be. And there's not really an exact science. You just have to kind of go through with experience. But if this is your first time seeing my channel, first, hello. And second, I also do a free grade review stream every Wednesday, starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, where I review Discord members' cards for free and give my assessment on what I think they would get as a PSA grade. So I go over all of this in really good detail. I've done it for almost, I think, over a year, I think, at this point, to kind of educate the community on what to look for when grading and kind of answer any questions, stuff like that. So that's probably the best spot. Like if you want, because right now I'm kind of just trying to focus on processing my inventory. Like I don't mind answering the question. Like don't take it that I'm complaining or anything like that. But if you want more kind of in-depth, like really specific questions answered, the Wednesday stream is probably going to be the better time to ask that, because I can really show it much better online than I can kind of at my cleaning desk, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully I at least answered like from a basic perspective. Okay, so I just grabbed a random card and measure the centering. All right, Julian, what do you got for me? Left 2.42. All right. Right 2.57. So yeah, I would say, so add those two values together and then divide one of those values by the total to get one side, and then divide the other by the total, and then you just have that be your ratio. So if one equals 0.55 and the other is 0.45, just as an example, your ratio would be 55-45, which on paper is the absolute maximum allowed to be still considered centering for PSA as a PSA 10 subgrade, or a 10 subgrade. Because again, it's 4 factors that are factored into the overall grade. Pokemon Marketplace, thank you for following. Appreciate that. Josh, thanks for the follow. AG, thanks for the follow. Evan, thanks for the follow. Man, thank you guys so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know, guys, I'm trying to be a spot where, you know, because the Pokemon community right now is in such a crazy spot, and we're in like really crazy times. And like at the end of the day, you know, I really just want to help you guys as much as I can, you know, within reason, obviously, because I can't. I really wish I could answer everyone's questions like all the time, but I really try to make my content around like being like kind of a really good resource for you guys to kind of navigate these trying times, I guess. Yes. Yep. Same name on Twitch. Everything is also in my link tree as well, which includes my Twitch, YouTube. So if you have difficulties, my Twitch is in my bio as well. So yeah, we did a pretty good job at getting rid of a lot of that. I have no idea. That one on the chest is really bugging me, but that one's stubborn. Let me see if I can do a little bit of magic here off camera, which is just me using a microfiber cloth and seeing if I can feel it with like my nail through the glove. But yeah, we were able to get a lot of that weird stuff off. It took a while. I don't know what was on there, but the surface is really clean now. Am I cleaning or restoring? Currently cleaning, Lance. Currently cleaning. Just processing a collection or a bunch of cards I picked up during the weekend. What am I watching? You are watching me go through some cards I picked up during this weekend show. So yeah. So we got a little bit of a ding up there, so you can kind of see that on the top there, and I'll actually show you guys under the microscope, hopefully, because it's a little bit of a three-dimensional here, so I don't know if you guys can see it quite well, so I might have to kind of do that again. What show was it? It was Saratoga Comic-Con in New York was the show. So you can kind of see that little bit of an impact dent there, or kind of now it's more of like a scratch. I can put my shadowed finger over it so you can kind of see the depth of it. So we're kind of in that LP MP range. Oh, nice, Gabe. Yeah, I had a really good time. Enjoyed the bird flying around, and you only had 25 bucks. I feel you, man. It's tough. But so yeah, not too bad. Definitely a little loved, I'd probably say. You know, with the amount of whitening on the back, we're probably in that LP MP. So we're gonna see if we can get rid of more of those little white specks on the back. Yeah, it was cool, man. The show was really sick. For anyone that was like a super like big Red Dead fan, that must have been really cool. I personally never really played. I played Red Dead Revolver growing up, but never played like Red Dead Redemption or Red Dead Redemption 2. But oh, you're good, Julian. No worries. Do these often become ungradable? So like become meaning like after I'm doing what I'm doing, can I not grade them? The answer would be no. So one of the things that I do, like, so everything that you're seeing right now, I'm just using a Q-tip and distilled water. So my techniques basically just treat anything that might be stuck onto a card. So I don't use anything like card wax or chemicals or pens or anything like that, or glue. I've seen people using glue now. I don't use any of that. Like, there's definitely people that do. And that's totally okay. It's just my personal preference. I simply just don't. So I'm removing things that are added onto a card. So it's no different than if you've left a thumbprint on the card, for example. I would just wipe it off versus submitting it. That's pretty much what you're kind of seeing. And so like all these little like stuck on little white bits, for example, I'm just using distilled water with a little bit of moisture and just trying to take some out. The front was crazy. We just spent maybe 20 minutes just getting those off, and that's probably going to take up most of the stream. But you're talking about whitening. I mean, there really wasn't much to talk about other than, you know, it's really kind of, you kind of have to have some experience with like different levels of whitening. There's really no like definitive guide on, you know, this amount of whitening equals this amount of a degrade or anything like that. It's really just kind of trial and error. So that's why, again, I like to do those cleaning or the grade review streams on Wednesdays, because all my experience of kind of doing these, I've submitted, you know, thousands of cards at this point. All my experiences and all my lessons learned ultimately go into those streams. So I kind of leave the floor open to folks to ask questions or need help with their cards or anything like that. So that's pretty much where that comes from. So if there is one tiny dot, you know, it could be, you know, I've seen some that are very, very, very minimal. You know, I've seen cards that just have one small dot that get a 10, but I've seen others get 9s. And then if they are the same, but there's 1 or 2 or 3, they normally get 9s or sometimes 8s in very worst case scenarios. But it's really hard for me to give you a solid answer. Like I can't just say, you know, 1 white dot equals a 10, 2 white dots equals a 9. You know, I can't. There's no way. Caleb, thank you for the follow. Big Rig, thanks for the follow. It's like, for example, I don't know if you guys can see again if you guys were watching me on I like the setup you're working with. I appreciate that, Bolo. So if you guys see on TikTok, you might have to go full screen, but those watching on Twitch and YouTube, you might be able to see a little bit better. There's a little bit of like a black dot on this K here. So pretty much what I'd be doing in this scenario is first getting a new Q-tip. I'm at number 4 now. Julian, thanks for liking the live. I appreciate that. Bigfoot. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me as well. Just kind of talking through the weekend show. And nah, there's really no way, Lance, to be quite honest with you. Unless the blue is kind of folded over and you can kind of try to fold it back. If that blue top layer is gone, there's really no way to restore something like that. And if anyone does tell you that there is, they're most likely implying that they are just going to fill it in with like a Sharpie or a pen. And I simply don't do that, but... What's going on here? I'm currently processing some cards I received in a buyout at this weekend show. And just kind of getting just making sure that my assessed condition at the show still holds up by the time the adrenaline wears off and I'm back at the office here, and just kind of getting rid of some dirt and grime and trying to make these cards in as good of a condition as I possibly can before kind of offering them to you guys. So everything that you'd be seeing here, you know, will be for sale at some point, and everything that I'm doing just basically just gets rid of like all the dirt and debris and thumbprints that might be left on the card. So I'm not altering these cards in any way. I'm just removing all that stuff. So ultimately, you know, the card's just simply not dirty by the time it gets to you. Aren't there super talented people that use a special ink blend and toothpick? Yeah, I think there's people that, you know, use things to add to a card, but I simply don't. So I don't use any wax or chemicals or pens or glue or anything like that. I just simply use distilled water, Q-tips, microfiber cloths, and in certain cases, if there are crazy bends or folds or something like that, I'll try to run it through a humidor and try to flatten it out a little bit. But that's really the extent of it. It wasn't no, it was in Saratoga in New York. Was the last show I went to. And then come June or July, I should be back in the Albany area. Oh, nice, Cloak. I've seen the heat press. I'm a little hesitant, because I don't know really how that works. I actually purchased one of those heat pens that I've been seeing floating around. I think that'd be an interesting thing to try. I have a bunch of test cards that I've been kind of accumulating on like different, like when I test certain techniques before I ever show them on stream. I like to obviously test them on my own cards and, you know, kind of go through my own trial and error. Yeah, I've seen a few techniques done through that. It makes sense in theory, but I think it's just kind of getting down kind of the length and time and, you know, I don't know what it's called, like the thermal paper that you put on top of it and how many passes you can take and kind of combination of humidity and how many times you can do it and whatever. It's definitely going to be trial and error, but it's no different than what you're seeing now. All the kind of the Q-tip and the humidor and everything like that. This is all done previously through trial and error. So, like for example, this little black dot, I got some of it off, but it's One of the things I don't feel is I don't feel it raised, so it's something that I can't really remove without possibly damaging the card any further. So I kind of like to call this more or less a lost cause. I don't want to do any more damage to it. So we're just going to kind of leave it there, because at the end of the day, this card still, is within that light play, mod play range. But we did as good of a job as we could to get as long as we got rid of all that weird splatter across. I'm happy with that. So, and of course, all my hand is all covered in it. I have no idea what it was, but so let's see. I'm gonna do a quick shine test on the side here because I have a camera in front of me. So I just really need to make sure that we're doing the due diligence here. Now the Arceus, I would say, like if this were to get graded, there's a lot of silvering on the edges. There's still a little bit of something stuck on the chest. Centering is fine, but it's really just the back. The back is really what I'm kind of torn between a 6 and a 5, to be quite honest with you. Because we do have some whitening on that top left, a little bit of a bend there, but the really big one is that little one on that above the O there. So then there was also more whitening on the bottom, so those bottom corners. So on that bottom, so it'd be bottom right. Yeah, it's tough. And then a little bit of something stuck on there. Yeah, that's why I'd say too, Cloak. Just as an option as well, I do stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, so I do multi-streaming, so it might be a little bit easier. Just depending on if that's something you actually, want to take a look at or whatever, just for a different viewing experience. But yeah, it's kind of on that fence between LP and MP. So normally what happens, like if I'm really on the fence of something like that, I normally tend to be more conservative just to kind of cater more towards the collector. So I'd probably assess this as MP because it's really on the fence. So if someone, I'd rather have it be that way than say, hey, this guy said light play and I think it's MP. But gloves are bad for the cards. Well, in certain cases, yes, because it's hard to feel pressure. So I understand where you're coming from there. But in certain cases, which I'm doing right now, I don't want to put thumbprints on the card. And I've been doing this long enough to where I have a better sense of how much pressure I am putting on the card. And these gloves also are residue free, so they're not dipped in any like powder or anything like that. They're just nitrile gloves, so there's no coating or anything extra on them. But I've definitely have heard that concern before. It is a very valid concern, but like what Cloak said, it all depends on the type of glove that you get as well, if it has that coating or anything like that on it. Alright, so next up is the Armaldo. Let's take a look. So far, at first glance, looks pretty good. That Armaldo. No swirls, unfortunately. I appreciate that, Swiss. Yeah, and like I said, if you guys have any questions, I'm just kind of doing this. I'd be doing this in silence, probably watching Queso or something. So if you guys have any questions or, kind of my experience on stuff, I already kind of talked about as a vendor an observation that I had where you should really pay attention to, if you're looking for certain cards, really make sure you do your homework and research on market price prior to you going there. It's starting to become more of like shopping for a new car or a used car, like how you have to kind of do your homework and do your research before you go to the dealership. Shows are now becoming that. So like how a lot of vendors, this is one I'll just kind of say again, and I apologize if you're here earlier, I kind of talked about it, but basically in short, vendors I've seen, which everyone has their reasons for it, so I'm not saying that this is a bad strategy at all. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying or talking ill will about anyone. But for example, I had a Magikarp from Paldean Evolved that was market price of $215. And so when I was doing some walks, which is something I like to do just to kind of get a sense of my pricing, some people had theirs listed maybe at $280 or $295, or 265, something like that. And so what that does is the standard trade value or trade percentage is roughly 80 to 85%. So what happens is if the price of the card is much higher than market, there's actually a strategy where that 80% trade is actually being diluted because the market price is being inflated. So even though you think you're getting 80% towards that card, you're actually not. You're actually having it much lower depending on what the sticker price that they're declaring market as. So if you can just, because that is part of the whole negotiation process. If you go into it saying, yeah, like, I'd really like to trade for this card, but currently market is at, and then with your homework, you tell them how much the market price is. So if they're really willing to work with you, then, you're actually making your trade power more realistic. Exactly, Julian. Yep. So, and a lot of people, there are people who are simply like too afraid to ask or to go into it. But I'm saying that you really need to. That's why I try to just simply put my stuff as close to market as possible. Just to kind of help those who may, like I have it a little bit higher. Like, so normally I'll have mine at like 5% more because I'm not charging, because where I'm at in New York, I have to charge sales tax, but I don't put that sales tax on the customer. I just have a flat fine of 5%, and then I pay the sales tax after the fact. But yeah. Sometimes you can score by trading your own stuff at 80% if the sticker for the same card. Yeah, that's true. Where am I in New York? So I'm in the central, like, New York area specifically. I don't want to, like, I have, like, you can see where my business address is to kind of give you a general sense. But I primarily work out of central New York. So I guess we have to now determine what you consider upstate. So central New York, I consider more of like Albany, Saratoga area. Cosmic, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Do you use TCG Player, Price Charting, or Collector for your market price? Are you consistent? I would say so. So for Raw, I tend to use TCG Player, and I do an average of the last 3 to 5 and or market price. The only thing now, though, is I tend to not... I use market price as a reference, but I don't use it fully as the end-all, be-all, because there's a lot of weird inflation that seems to happen now in TCG Player, especially with like last sold, because it'll say, this card sold for under or over market, but it's not in English, as an example, or it was a graded card. So I tend to look at the last sales, and I also tend to rule out any crazy outliers. So for example, if a card is selling for, 50 all day, right? So you see 50, 50, 50, but then 120, I'm not gonna consider that. So I think I use it as reference, like TCG Player I use as reference, but I don't take the market price at face value. Price charting. Price charting is also okay. The only thing that you have to kind of be mindful of is just, like, it kind of suffers the same fate as I was talking about, where it will consider certain things that may be mislabeled or misrepresented in the overall evaluation, that you'll have to just simply click the listing and say, oh yeah, that eBay listing or that whatever didn't actually get realized, or, the person didn't pay for it or whatever, or got relisted. So, yeah, especially for slabs, I tend to use alt, is what I use. It seems like a lot of people in the industry tend to use alt, and it's kind of the same thing. It'll take prices from eBay. And again, if there's something wildly inaccurate, I'll always kind of double check. But yeah, price charting, you really, unless the listing says it, like if it says LP or HP, you can't filter it. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too, Cosmic. That's one thing that you really can't. Yeah, I think alt is really nice. I mean, I haven't heard of the other one, Gravity, but alt's nice because you can just simply scan the card, which I really like, especially as a vendor. It's really quick and really easy to just scan the card versus having to type out the entire thing and whatever. But it's nice that it has, because I've kind of did like a self audit of it where, you know, I just picked like random samples of like eBay data. And it does go back to actual sales. The only thing I will say is that sometimes if you see a crazy outlier, it means that the conversion didn't occur through like, so for example, if it's sold like in Germany or China, their currency didn't accurately convert on your end in USD. So sometimes that happens and you kind of have to rule that out. But alt is ALT, Cloak. That's what I personally use. If I want to ask, does PSA really measure the centering? They would, yeah. They would. But I'd say that like you just kind of did with the ruler method, you know, as long as you kind of do that to the best of your ability, you know, you're chilling. Now, I'd say, you know, if you're trying to go for like a black label, for example, you know, then you should be really like way more accurate in your measurements, but PSA kind of gives you that little bit of leeway as long as you're within that ratio. I personally have just done it so long that I tend to just eyeball it, to be honest. But like if I'm really concerned, I try to do like if it's 54-46, like if it's 55-45, I don't want to submit it and say, okay, well they're either going to round up or round down. So that's kind of where my line is personally. So this is a good example. Again, if you guys are watching me on Twitch or YouTube, you'll see it a little bit better, but on TikTok you may have to go full screen. You see there's a little bit of whitening there in the top edge there. That's something that you really can't fix because, you know, I mean, I can kind of be a little bit more aggressive with this because it's kind of beat a little bit and it's really not that worth like that much of a card. So for example, if I'm kind of picking at this, there's a little bit of black here that's kind of making this whitening appear not as bad, but I can tell on the microscope that there is a little bit of dirt. So if I kept going after that, it would just get whiter. So there's no longer this blue layer, this blue stock layer that's folded over. So I can't push it back to remove that. So there's no way you could remove that unless you use something like a Sharpie or a pen, which I do not recommend at all if you're trying to sell or grade or anything like that, because it's considered an alteration. Do you guys use the Alt iOS app? Yeah, I do. It's free. That's what I do. Yeah, right, Cosmic? Yeah, I have mine. I've never had to pay for it. I've never run into an issue or an instance where I've needed to pay for Alt. Yeah, and really all you need, like, for the most part, like, I haven't had an issue, you know, just looking up the like, unless a card is, like, super obscure, then I would just go to eBay anyway. Because I only, like, it'll tell you, like, different auction sites, but I tend just to use eBay. Because there are some that will say, oh, you know, it's drastically lower than, like, eBay's averages. It's, well, because people don't go to that auction site. Like, PWCC, for example. You know, it's obviously a reputable auction site, but it's not as globally popular as eBay. That's just as an example. But yeah, it's not, like Gravity's saying, 99 times out of 100, it's really not that big of a deal. I've been using it for over a year and a half, probably at this point, and I have not once said, wow, I really need to pay for Alt to have better accurate data. What's happening? Well, right now, I'm kind of looking at these cards I picked up during this last weekend show, and just kind of talking with you guys about things I look for as a vendor, things to look out for, things to help you with grading or assessing cards, stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing. How can I tell if a card should be sent out? Well, I'd say the easiest answer for you, Grim, would probably be to join my Wednesday stream. So right now I'm just kind of processing this new inventory. So I can't be like as in-depth as I probably want to. But Wednesday I do a free grade review starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, and I go into much deeper depth on how to grade, what to look for. So that's probably my biggest recommendation. I know it's kind of like a selfish self-plug, but we talk about grading for hours and hours and hours. Gravity and Pastry, thanks for following, guys. Appreciate you. Yeah, so the front of this Armalda, this is like a perfect example of a good binder card. And I also assess your guys' cards as well. So, like, for example, there's a lot of whitening on this card. And there's some noticeable, like, the whitening is more like these edges here. So we're starting to get into, I would say if there's, like, more dents or more creases, we're starting to get into that 5 area. But it's really, I think, due to the fact that the front's so clean and the back is really just those, like, 1, 2, 3, like, main points of whitening with a little bit more on the edges. Probably be more of, like, a light play scenario for that bad boy. Because, again, we assessed that Arceus before as mod play, and it had similar similar whitening, but there was some dents on the back that kind of resulted in the mod play. So we got, let's do it that way, I think. Would be probably better. We'll do this way so I remember what we're doing. Beautiful, okay. What'd you pick up? I saw you guys at the event. Zakuta brought the PSA. Oh, that's awesome, Liam. Well, it was super nice to meet you. That was super cool that you're allowing me to look at your Charizard there from 151. We picked up pretty much. We picked up a lot of evolution stuff. So I think the biggest one, and I think you guys will get a really cool. This was probably my favorite pickup of the show, which is the Karen's Umbreon. If you guys have never seen this, this was from the Versus set, exclusive to Japan. So like how we'd get Gym Challenge or Gym Heroes, they had the Versus series, so very similar. So this is, so you can kind of see Karen right there. So this is Karen's Umbreon. So this is probably the first time I've ever actually held this card in person. So I've only heard about it, but it was kind of cool to pick that up. But yeah, other than that, just a bunch of Eevees. Like I feel like I'm like Mr. Evolution. I got like the Flareon, I got some Espeons, I got a bunch of stuff from like Aquapolis, some Tag Team, like just Eevees and Espeons, like all over the place. So just got back my felt hat Pikachu from PSA. It would not grade. Reason was miscut. Miscut meaning that they're considering it as an alteration pastry. Because normally, like, miscuts could be, you know, seen in certain instances as like a what is it, a grading qualifier? Like off center, like an OC subgrade, not qualifier. Yeah, that would probably be what I would expect. Yeah, if they're saying that it was, because miscut would say, you know, that it would probably result in a subgrade. But if it was not allowed to be graded, it normally would kind of be similar to what who said it? Gravity said. I think at that point, legitimately, if like you're really concerned, I'd probably just reach out to their support team, to be quite honest with you. So this Alakazam was pretty clean aside from the print lines. Yeah, it's always unfortunate that that happens because their return times right now are crazy long, so it's always it's a bit unfortunate. So this one would probably get a 7, would be my guess, this Alakazam, because of that whitening on the bottom. But the front's really clean. I know, that's why it's like when I hear people saying, "Oh yeah, I got my card back and it didn't grade." That's it just sucks. there's no other way of saying it. But That's my favorite Pokemon. Yeah, the Alakazam from base set is a nice, it's a nice card for sure. Oh man, Gravity, I still remember like pre-COVID when we'd get the bulk prices for $10 a card. Oh, I miss those days. That was when I submitted a ton. That was probably my biggest submission. It was like 150 or 160 cards. And that was right before COVID hit. And I think it took me, I think the turnaround time, I think, was 16 months. So I didn't get my cards, my submission back for like a year and a half. And I was like super stoked when it came back. So you guys see some print lines mixed with some man-made lines there by the arm of the Alakazam. But I'm not fixing cards per se. I'm just kind of doing some cleanup and some touch-up if there's like any dirt or grime or thumbprints, stuff like that. Just trying to, and also I'm trying to make sure that I give a valid assessment of condition. You know, so if I thought at the show this weekend, you know, I thought this was light play. So I just want to make sure now that the dust is settled, do I still think it's light play? Because there has been instances where, you know, at the show when, you know, my adrenaline's going, there's a lot going on, I assess something as near mint, and then I come home and it's like, wow, I missed that big bend, and that's definitely not near mint. I have done that enough to where we're streaming it, so. So I've definitely been burned. Do I repair cards? Technically, no. I don't repair. I just simply address things that are added onto a card. So if you want to consider that repairing, yes. But I don't do, like, I don't use card wax or card filler or pens or anything like that. I just use distilled water, Q-tips, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, because the last thing I want, and again, that's my big thing, is establishing trust for you guys through just simply being transparent. Because at the end of the day, you guys are the customer, and it's my job to be as truthful and transparent as I possibly can. So if I say something is like light play or near mint or mod play, it goes through this process. So everything that I'm doing for all my singles goes through this exact same thing you're seeing on stream right now. So I probably would grade this. The front was actually really clean. So right now, I don't think it would get anything higher than an 8. So I have a little bit of scratch on that top left corner. But I think because of the whitening on the bottom, I probably get a 7 would be my guess. So because that left edge is really clean. A little bit of white on the side. Do I have a Skarmory Hollow from Expedition? I do not. I actually sold a bunch of Expedition not too long ago. But I have more like Aquapolis, Skyridge stuff as of now. But nothing from Expedition, really. So, like, kind of, again, if you guys were watching me on TikTok, you might have to go full screen to kind of see this, because all that bloat on the top is kind of covering what I'm showing. But this whitening on the bottom is pretty noticeable. And so that's really not, like, near mint plus. So that's more of, like, near mint. But it's really just on the bottom, because the edges and the hollow are actually in really good shape. You know, besides that little bit there towards the bottom there. But the edges are actually in really good shape on the top and on the sides. But the hollow is also in really good shape, aside from what appears to be some print lines. So, tired of feeling alone. Well, you're not alone now. Welcome to the live. Appreciate you. What's going on, Gamer Dad? So yeah, I'd probably assess this from a PSA gray perspective, and then we're gonna also do kind of a shimmer test here, because sometimes on the microscope you can only really see on like a 2D plane. So now we kind of look and see if there's anything that we didn't catch right away, and that's a good example right there. So I have a little bit, almost like a pack fold, so that what I saw to be a scratch, you can kind of see a little bit of a pack fold. So, so that's always why I like to kind of still do like a little shimmer test, just to see if there's any like other dings or anything like that. So, but all in all, I'd probably assess that as near mint, or probably a PSA 7 would be my guess. It's not, I've definitely seen worse 7s. I'm not going to talk about the Dusclops EX that I've talked about ad nauseum. But the hollow is super, super clean. Aside from those print lines by the hand here. Well, it's like kind of like a a print line slash man-made line, but they're kind of like in parallel. What's going on, Zam? Do you have a little bit of dip in connectivity there, so apologize if the quality got worse. Do you sell anything on TikTok? So how my process goes, Pastry, is anything that is roughly over 30 at the moment. I do these high resolution scans with my scanner and list them on my website. And so anything that people would be interested in picking up. So like, for example, if this was online and if you wanted to say, hey, can I take a look at that Alakazam? I use the microscope and it's like, sure, here you go. Like, here's the front, here's the back, whatever. And then instead of saying claimed and then, you know, putting it in a baggie and waiting for 10, 15 minutes, I'm not saying you would, but just as an example, you could just simply pick it up online. You just say, you know, add to cart, purchase. It's all legitimate. I've had some transactions already. A ton of people have left some good reviews, which I always appreciate. And so that way it doesn't slow down the stream or anything like that for like claims and, hey, I'm still waiting for your payment or whatever. So, but yeah. So, okay, so that I said that was near mint. So yeah. So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of go over, we're only able to do the A's, which is totally fine. So let me first go over a few things here. So as a recap, if you guys are new here, every month I do a subscriber giveaway, so Discord subscriber giveaway every month that people are entered in. So if you want to check that out. And so I normally make these announcements in the beginning of each month. And so this month's Discord subscriber giveaway that'll probably start here on Wednesday is I'm going to be giving away this Breakpoint Blister. So I actually picked this up at the show. It's a little bit loved on the top there, but I thought that was pretty cool to enter in that. So if you want to have a chance to win this bad boy, all you have to do is sub over on Discord. Any of the subscription tiers will allow you to be entered. The higher the tier, the more entries you get. So I do one of these every month, so I thought this was a pretty cool pickup that I wanted to do for that. And again, that's for Discord subscribers specifically. So now, again, as a recap, I'll kind of show you guys again what I kind of picked up. All this stuff eventually will be on my website. It is just me that uploads and does everything, so it takes a little bit of time. But eventually, everything that's assessed as 30 or higher in value will be listed over there as well. And then if you're a pilot or a general subscriber over on Discord, you actually have the added perk of claiming these before they actually go on the website. So there's some initiative there as well. So here's some of the stuff that I picked up over the weekend. And this Dark Blastoise was super sick. This had, I think, either 2 or 3 swirls by the mouth there. You can kind of see a little bit there. It was like a 3 swirl banger, which is really, really cool. So we had that. The Dark Wheezing. And we picked up, during the show, we actually picked up the entire XY promo set, which was super cool. Dialga, and then the Dark Espeon. With the booty swirl there, so that's always cool. Destiny Deoxys, yes, I do sell singles. Right now, what you're seeing hasn't been fully uploaded in the inventory because all my cards are located on my website. So that's how you can kind of claim them, so to speak. I don't do claims in the traditional sense, but everything you see, if there's anything that you want to pick up, the claim part is available for subscribers over on my Discord channel for pilot or general tier. So then we got some Espeons. Nightmare, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Yeah, these pickups were pretty cool, I would say, from this weekend. As you can tell, I picked up a lot of cards from a very avid Evolution collector. So I got some Delta Species, some more cool Evolutions, some Unseen Forces reverse rare. It's always cool to see. Aquapolis, Delta Species, And then the Eevee Snorlax, Japanese and English, and then the Legendary Collection. Always my favorite reverse, will always be my favorite reverse. I will forever think that those are probably my favorite holos. The reverse rare legendary collection. So it's always so cool. And then some Pop Series Flareon, Unseen Forces reverse Flareon, some Radiant Collection, Legendary Collection Flareon there. This one's really cool. It always seems like the Delta species are all darker in nature in terms of their background. Like the Flareon there, the Feebas, and then the Flareon EX from Delta as well. That was a nice pickup. And then next on the G's. So this is more for like the Glaceon section we're about to see. So Giovanni's Charisma, Gardenia's Vigor, Glaceon EX, had some Shatterfoil. Those are always cool for the deck exclusives. Shatterfoil is also one of my favorite holo patterns, so that's always cool. Some Burger King promos. I'm pretty sure that's from the Burger King promo, the Glaceon and the Leafeon. Another holo Glaceon there. Another holo Glaceon there. Some more XY promos. And now we're getting into the Gardevoir EX from Radiant Collection, EX, GX, and then another Delta species there as well. And then just the solo Hoopa. The Hoopa GX, or not GX, EX. And then my favorite, the Jolteon. So we got Pop Series 3 there. Legendary Collection Jolteon there. It's always kind of cool to see. Black and White Jolteon promo. The EX. The other Delta species Jolteon. And then the Jirachi. I showed this, probably going to be a third time, but eventually this will be up. My favorite pickup from the weekend was this Karen's Umbreon. Super sick. So that'll be, if I actually have this on a soft claim. So we'll see if they give them the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully they pick that up soon. If not, I've had a lot of people show interest in this bad boy, so that'll be hopefully up in the near future. And the Keldeo. For the Karens, well, right now, someone did a soft claim on it, but if they don't, it was a vendor friend of mine from this weekend show, but if they don't pick it up in a few weeks, it will probably go for, what do I have it for? It'd probably go up on my website for $565, because it is the LP. Next for the L's was Lumineon, and the Leafeon VMAX. The other Burger King promo. Leafeon V. The Leafeon, and then the Latios. Got those bad boys. Looking good, looking fresh. Speedy, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Next up for the M's, the Moltres. Melanetta, the Mew. The Manaphy, how much on Leaf? Right now, I'm just kind of showing the pickups that I had for the weekend. So this stuff is still being processed in inventory. So right now, prices haven't really been determined quite yet. I literally picked these up not 24 hours ago, because the show was from Saturday to Sunday. So most of this stuff I picked up on Sunday. So just kind of showing it off, making sure that my conditions that I assessed at the show are still accurate. But most of this stuff will be put up on my online store once it's fully inventoried as well. So you'll see some of that. It was Saratoga Comic-Con was the show I went to, Speedy, in New York. And next for the P's, picked up this Greyfell hat, sealed promo, the Palkia, the Pikachu EX, and the Pikachu from 151. And then the R's, got the Reshi and the Gigas. Oh, nice. Well, welcome from Oklahoma. Then the Working Steelix, the Shiftry, the Shaman, the Cool Soul Rock, some more Shamans. This one was actually going up in price from Legendary Treasure. Squirtle, Slacking, and another Shaman EX. That's awesome, Speedy. I'm glad you had a good time. It's always it's definitely very overwhelming, especially for your first one. But I'm glad to hear that you had a good time at your first one. They're super fun. Oh, nice. That's cool. Hopefully she had a good time too. Next, of course, we're in the U's, so we're going to be in Umbreon land here. So the one from Skyridge, Aquapolis, some more Holos, some more from Evolving Skies, the Tag Team promos, the reverse from Sandstorm, the Darkrai, the other one, the Umbreon V, the Cracked Foil, the Umbreon EX, looking good, and then the Neo Discovery. So right now, J, prices aren't shown because I just picked these up on Sunday. So how my whole thing works is that I kind of just show you guys some of the pickups to kind of get you excited on what's to come. And then once I process all this stuff, it will go live on my website. So that's kind of how it works. So I just want to make sure too, like if I thought this card was LP at the show, that's why I try to go through these to make sure, yep, it's still LP in my office. So because I've had that where I thought a card is near mint in the show and I come back home and there's a big dent and it's mod play. So I'm like, okay. We got the Venusaur. Now we're in the Vaporeon section, the Skyridge, another Pop Series, some more Holo Vaporeons, Reverse Delta Species, and the Victini. No, nothing like that right out the bat, Speedy. What's kind of nice, I personally think, is once I kind of have all this inventoried, I'll do a claim sale in the future. And all that means for you guys is that if you see a card you want, I can look at it under the microscope or anything like that. And if you're really interested in it, you just go to my website, pick it up, and then it's done. None of this like claim bag or hold it off to the side or anything like that. It's all legitimate. It's all set up through Squarespace, so it's all nice and legit. So, but yeah, it just takes me some time because I'll actually do high-resolution scans of everything. So, Mello, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. But yeah, I'd say, again, as a recap, this is probably my favorite card. My favorite pickup at the show was the Karens, for sure. Put that there for now. The sleepy Karen's Umbreon. But can I show on the microscope? There you go. At least that's what I think you said. Or we're about to say. But yeah, guys. So that's pretty much it for the stream tonight. My goal was just to kind of show you guys and kind of talk about the weekend show. Just kind of keep cleaning some cards that I inventoried today. Only got through the A's. So the ones that we got through today, I'll kind of do a recap of that. So the stuff that we assessed on the A's that were assessed as near mint was this Alakazam from base set 2, the Arceus XY promo, and the Alolan Executor EX from Surging Sparks. And then stuff that was assessed as light play was this Armaldo from Sandstorm. And then for the mod play was the Arceus. So, what is this? This is me going through some of my pickups from the weekend and will eventually be on my online store. What show? It was Saratoga Comic-Con in New York was the show I went to. Had a super good time. Picked up a huge, insane collection, probably the biggest one that I've picked up to date. So, super stoked. Met the Machine. That is a Tomlov DM201. It is a microscope. Selling that Umbreon right now is currently at a soft claim. So I'm going to give them about 2 weeks. And then once that 2 weeks is up, if they don't pick it up, then it's definitely going to go on my online store. So definitely, if you're not following, I'll probably do some updates on when it goes live because I've had numerous people ask me for it. So I definitely recommend doing that. I'll probably post it in my TikTok stories or Instagram stories or the Discord or one of the two. Yeah, I mean, I know it'll sell. I've had a lot of people ask me for it. No, it's light play. So I'm not really worried about it too much. So, but I mean, they have, it's more of a vendor friend of mine. So that's why I'm kind of giving them, because they really wanted it for their PC. But they also had a lot of buys. So I'm just to kind of keep respect amongst the community. You know, I always like to look out for my own too. You know, if someone's really looking for something for their personal collection. So. I wish you luck, Musa. Yeah, it was a really cool pickup. But yeah, so like I said before, if you guys are new here, I'm going to be streaming again here soon, probably on Wednesday, if not sooner. So Wednesday is going to be a grade review stream. So if you guys have any questions about grading, I'll definitely be going over them more in depth. In addition, I'm going to be reviewing your cards that you submit in our Discord. So if you have a card that you want a second opinion on and what I think it would get as a PSA grade, those Wednesday streams are the best for it. And again, I'm going to be also starting a Discord subscriber monthly giveaway. We do it every month. And this month's prize for Discord subs is this Breakpoint blister I picked up at the show. So if you are a Discord subscriber, the giveaway will be started on Wednesday during that stream. So if you want to win that, check that out over on the Discord. And other than that, I got more cards to clean off stream. And once I'm done cleaning all those and verifying that their conditions are good, I'll start listing those online. And yeah, we'll probably do another claim sale. But yeah, I have a lot of work to do. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Peace.